Today I'm just going to show you a few things about how to get started using Python in mathematics. Okay, so the first resource I want to show you is a place called Sololearn. So one of the ways that you can kind of track your learning in Sololearn is to log in, and you can use your Google account for school. I have my school account all set up. And one of the nice things about this is that there's a lot of good resources for learning any language. So, this I'd suggest, if you hop and click courses here, a great resource for learning any language are all these courses that they have kind of set up. Okay, now because we're looking at Python, starting with Python, I would suggest trying Python for beginners. So if you click on Python, it'll take you through some of these introductory lessons. And, I always say that this isn't necessarily, what your teacher is going to teach you, but it's a great place where you can go and practice some of what you're learning. Okay, so normally they give you a little bit of information. It says, we will be using Python version 3, continue, and then some sort of question to test whether or not you've understood what you just read. So we're learning 3, check, and it'll give you some feedback. Okay, continue on, and there'll be more lessons. Hello world. Your first little way to print a message to the screen. So it gives you some example code, and you can click try it yourself. And these are some simple statements in Python to basically print a word to what's called the console. So here's the area where you write and create your program, and then this is the place where you would see your output. So if we click run, you'll see that it'll print the result of what is inside these two little quotes here, single quotes, right? So if you want to practice or add something else, one way to start doing this is by, you can copy and paste some code, Control C, Control V, and hello, my name is Mr. Hill. Okay, and we can run this, and you can see that this will add, right? This adds to our list of options, our list of statements that we have already. You can also remove some of these things. One way is to use a comment, a double slash, or sorry, a comment in Python is a hashtag. Okay, so this is one way we can ask the compiler not to run a certain line. So when I run these, it will now, right, it kind of stops this line. Even though we have it still written there, we're telling the compiler not to run this particular part of our program. It's great for debugging. It's great for adding extra information to your program, maybe what it's about. For example, the author of this program is Mr. Hill. And, we're going to use this as, sample teaching instruction. Okay, whatever. Some basic information about what's happening in this program. Okay, so anyways, that's Sololearn, and before we get too further, I don't want to just get into Sololearn today. I want to show you a couple other things. We'll save it, and it will save to your playground. So after we've tried it, each print statement will output its text on a new line. And so then it asks, Python code contains lots of references to Monty Python. So you'll see spam and eggs used as placeholder variables. Monty Python, classic movie, right? If you haven't seen it, check it out. Now, rearrange the code to generate the following output. So we want A, B, and C. So right now, we have print A, print C, and print B. So if I want them in the proper order, I need to execute these statements in the proper order. So I'm going to have to move this one up here. So I'm going to print A first, then print B, and then print C. And I'll check it, and that is correct. Okay, so the order of execution is really, really important. Anyways, I encourage you to check out Sololearn and use it as a resource for helping you learn some of the basics, some of the syntax. Obviously it gets into more detail as you progress, through the other parts of this program. Lots of practice involved, so that's a helpful resource. Now, the other place that I like to play is called Replit. So, replit.com. Okay. Now, this is a place, I'm just going to log out actually, so I can show you how to log in, how to create an account. But very similar to that Sololearn process, you can log in, use your Google account, right? Use your school account. And this will allow you to save your programs and everything that you write, right in Replit. You can see I have a whole bunch of REPLs, right? Every program is called a REPL, and there's lots of different languages here. We got some Python, we got some Java, Pygame, Swift, lots of different options here. Now, one way to get started is to, I'm just gonna jump right into specifics, but creating a Python REPL. So we can go to create, and we're using Python. So let's see if there's Python. Just going to check to make sure there's no specific Python 3. But I'm just going to choose the basic Python that is offered right at the top here. So this is allowing me to create a program in Python. Okay, if I was to create one in Java, well then I would use Java, right? I could select Java, and there's so many different options, so it's a great place. And we'll call this a sample math, right, program. Okay, and we'll jump right in. Okay, so very similar to that Sololearn layout, you have a place where you're coding some Python, and then a place where you can see your output. Now, with respect to mathematics, there's lots of things that you can start doing right off the bat. So, for example, 1 plus 2, okay? And we can actually run this, and it'll execute without any errors, but it doesn't print, right? It doesn't see it. We didn't tell it. If I actually want to see the output of my line here, I actually have to output it to the screen. So I can use my print statement. I'm not going to write in the console. I'm going to write over here to see the result of my statement. So I'm going to print 1 plus 2, right? And notice I'm not using quotes this time because I want it to execute like numbers. So I'm going to print, and there, the result of my line here, what's inside the bracket is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. So we can do the same for subtraction, okay? So, once again, I'm going to copy and paste, Control C, Control V. Now this time, I'm going to use 1 minus 2, okay? So for Python, some of the basic mathematical operators are addition, subtraction, and those are the same way that you would write them, okay? So we have 1 plus 1 is 3, and 1 minus 2 is negative 1, okay? Now, what else do you normally do in math? Sometimes you do some multiplication. So the symbol for multiplication would be an asterisk. So we have 1 plus 2, 1 minus 2, and 1 times 2. Okay, and I can run these now. And notice that it prints the result of my little statement there. And the last one I want to show you today, and this is something that you can just practice. Actually, I'm going to show you 2 more. I'm going to show you division. So division is a little bit different. Okay, we use this /, and so that means 1 divided by 2. Okay, and if we do that, we end up with 0.5. So we have 3, negative 1, 2, and 0.5, and you can see that those answers are correct. Okay, and the last one I want to show you is modulus, which is the remainder. So, it actually gives you the result of the remainder of something when you divide. So, for example, I can type in print, okay, and say 5 divided by, so 4 divided by 2 is a nice even number. So if I run that, I should get 2, okay, and you'll see that I end up with 2 there, Okay, but what if I take a number that doesn't divide evenly? For example, 5. So 5 doesn't divide by 2 evenly. So what the modulus does right here, use the percent sign, so we say 5 mod 2, right, is it gives you the remainder of that result. So 5 divided by 2 is 2 with 1 left over, okay? And, just if you want to write that out, it would be, right, 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 5. So you get 2 whole 2's, right, plus a 1 is 5, right? So when I execute this, 5 mod 2, I should end up with a 1, okay? And that works right there. So those are some of the basic, what I call, and what most people call when you're working in the programming world, is your mathematical operators in Python. And so I'm going to write this in a nice comment so that the compiler doesn't execute it, and a little bit of documentation as to what we've done today. So a little bit of addition, a little bit of subtraction, a little bit of multiplication, and a little bit of division and some modulus. Division a couple different ways. Okay, so there's a great place to get started. What I encourage you to do is play around with the print statement. If you think about that hello world stuff that we learned in Sololearn, printing a word, to print a word, we need to use those single quotes, okay, or Mr. Hill, okay, but when I put numbers inside the brackets, it's gonna execute this just like it would a math statement, and then it would output the result. So here you see the difference, okay. If I wrap it in quotes, it prints out exactly what it sees in the brackets. If I put numbers specifically in there, it will output the result of whatever mathematical operator that you've inserted in there. Okay, so practice. Create a Replit account, and create a REPL, a nice Python REPL, and start playing around with some of these statements. You can modify them. First of all, you can copy exactly what I did just to get started, and then you can modify them. Maybe you can start combining things. Plus 4, 1 times 2 plus 4, and it'll use BEDMAS as a guide to compute that result. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus 4 is 6, and we end up with that right answer right there. Okay? So don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to practice. The best thing to do is get started and start asking some questions. Okay? I'll pick up and start building on some of these little things as we progress more through your grade 9 math course, as well as trying to tie some of learning Python to what you guys are doing in class. Hope you guys have a good day.